If I had $1 every time a horror movie centered around a pop star released in 2024, I would have 2 nickels. Which, as the saying goes, isn't much, but it's odd that it happened twice. As someone who loves concert going, I was excited. Unfortunately, M. Night Shyamalan's Trap felt like a first draft student film, full of plot contrivances and conveniences. So I had to put all my hopes and dreams into Smile 2, despite not being a big fan of the original, which I felt was more goofy than scary and took a generically drab approach to the visuals, with director Parker Finn adhering to the conventional wisdom of, hey, it's a horror film, let's drain it and make it as visually dour as a nursing home. Off the strength of the trailers alone, Smile 2 looked visually and conceptually way more appealing. And bloody hell, it feels good to be right. Because the title is about the only uninspired thing about Smile 2, a movie which improves on its predecessor in every conceivable way, as to make the original look like a playtest demo for the real deal. Right off the bat, this movie is visually and sonically incredible. Horror is a genre where immersion is incredibly valuable. If you want us to feel the scares, we need to feel like we are in the movie. Smile 2 is far more immersive than the first film. I mean, who knew, filmmakers, that allowing your film to showcase a wider range of color only makes your movie far more transportive? After all, life doesn't have a grey filter slapped over it. Beyond the color grading, the movie uses close-ups and one-shots to create an incredibly intense film, preferring to pan back and forth between characters instead of cutting. Minor flashback spoilers coming, but there's a flashback later on in the film where we witness an inevitable car accident, and it just might be the best directed, most intense car accident scene that I've seen since Damien Chazelle's Whiplash. A lot of that intensity is thanks to Naomi Scott. Her past resume hasn't been impressive from a technical standpoint, having starred in the terrible Charlie's Angels reboot, the terrible Power Rangers reboot, and the soulless Aladdin remake. So I expected more of a melodramatic Disney-type performance. I could not have been more wrong. As pop star Sky Riley, Scott masterfully crafts a multifaceted portrayal of a pop star. Her theatrical public image and her tortured authentic self who suffers from trauma, survivor's guilt, and struggles with addiction. I hope the industry takes notice, because if you ask me, this is a star-making quality performance. This is very much Scott's movie, which isn't say that the supporting cast is bad, with the exception of the woefully miscast person they got to play Sky Riley's mother, but you won't exactly leave this movie begging to see more Lucas Gage on the big screen. I gotta say, Ray Nicholson does a fantastic job with the limited screen time he's given. But if there's one thing scarier than his eyes, it's just how eerily similar he is to his father Jack, which is about the biggest compliment I can give. Horror works at its best when it's allegorical. The Thing is about paranoia, It Follows is about STDs, and so on and so forth. In Smile 2, the filmmakers use the smile parasite from the first film as a metaphor for addiction, exploring how the machine of fame, or any work-related obligations for that matter, can be counterproductive to an individual's process of healing and rehabilitation. We hear a lot about the perils of fame, and this movie really gets at the dissonance that exists between a celebrity's real self and the public image they portray. You won't quite understand just how weird it is for fans to trauma dump on a celebrity at a meet and greet until you watch this movie. Despite being one of the better horror films I've seen in a while, this movie isn't without its flaws, and a lot of it has to do with the inherently goofy nature of these Smile movies. I mean, I know this is meant to be terrifying, but I'm sorry, I just find it kinda hilarious. And perhaps the meta marketing where they have random people show up to public events doing the smile plays a part in why I have a hard time taking it seriously whenever these smiley faces show up. Whereas a horror movie like Scream still works where you know it's kinda meant to be satirical, I think I struggle with the fact that I'm not quite sure how I'm meant to take these movies. And yeah, despite not being particularly long, at 2 hours and 12 minutes, the third act still dragged. It's one of those movies that feels like it ends, then ends again, then ends again. Though I gotta say, the note that the movie ends on is one of my favorite horror endings I've seen in a while. It's such a fitting note to end this movie on that I'm kicking myself about the fact I didn't see it coming. Then again, predicting where a movie is gonna go has never been one of my biggest strengths. Again, it's not a perfect horror movie, but Smile 2 is an incredibly effective one. And a lot of that has to do with the technical aspect. It's crazy to think this is only Parker Finn's second film, because the direction oozes confidence. In how he directs the actors, how he masters the intense sound design, and how he uses cinematography to create a visceral experience. I'm all for a third Smile movie which focuses on a completely different set of characters, because if they keep it up, I think this movie could carve its spot out as a defining franchise in modern horror. Unfortunately though, the movie hasn't been growing much in terms of box office when compared to the original film, and maybe Terrifier 3 has something to do with that, but I definitely urge you all to give this movie a watch. And I'm giving this one an 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you've had the chance to watch Smile 2, let us know what you thought about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this review, be sure to subscribe to the channel for weekly TV and movie reviews, and drop us a like, cause it really helps support the channel. I'm Cinemike, and I'll see you next time, probably to talk about Venom: The Last Dance, so wish me luck.